The day the ants ate the bride in the village. It all began on a bright Saturday morning in the peaceful village of Akoroko, a village where even gossip traveled faster than boda-bodas. The rooster had barely crowed when the entire village of Akoroko turned into a theater. Drums were beating, women were shouting, and the air smelled like jollof rice, sweat, and gossip. Mama Titi was in charge of the wedding. "Today, my daughter Titi will marry like a queen," she screamed. "Even the ancestors will remove their sandals to dance." The village women clapped, but in one corner the mother-in-law, Mama Chica, was already frowning like rain about to fall. "Queen," she muttered, "my son is marrying trouble." "Look at her neck. She's wearing those river beads again. That thing looks like juju." Auntie Funk shouted back, "Leave her alone." "Not every bead is from the river. Some are from Uganda." The crowd laughed. Mama Chica hissed so loud even the goats turned to look. Inside the bride's room, Titi sat before a mirror, smiling shyly as her friends sang. "Our bride is fine. Our bride is fresh," Mama Chica stormed in, eyes blazing. "Greater than, remove that necklace." "That bead is older than your grandmother's secrets," Titi replied gently. "Mama, this is from my late aunt." "It brings blessings," Mama Chica shouted. "It brings madness. My son will not marry with witchcraft on his head." Before anyone could stop her, she snatched the necklace and threw it on the ground. The beads scattered, pling, pling, like rain on iron. The lights flickered, the mirror cracked. The chicken roasting outside screamed, "Kokoroko!" and dropped dead. Everyone froze. Then Titi touched her neck. Blood was coming out. The beads had cut into her skin and started glowing faintly. "Jesu! Look!" cried one bridesmaid. "She's bleeding necklace blood!" The room erupted. One woman fainted backward into the cake. The pastor shouted, "This wedding needs deliverance! Everybody raise your hand!" But outside, oh Lord, things were already worse. From the edge of the compound, a small child screamed, "Mama! The ground is moving!" The men looked down and saw ants, thousands of them, marching like soldiers on parade, straight toward the bride's hut. Uncle Sola grabbed a broom. "Let's sweep them away!" Old Man Okan shouted. "Don't sweep them! Those are ancestral ants. They will sue you in your dreams." The ants ignored the noise and entered the hut like invited guests. They crawled up Titi's dress, across her chest, and straight to her face. Titi screamed, "They're in my nose! Help me!" Mama Chica shouted, "I told you!" "You refused to hear word. You wore juju beads. Now your wedding is a wildlife documentary." The bridesmaids ran in circles, shouting, "Pour water! No, pour oil! No, pray first!" Someone grabbed the Bible. Another grabbed insecticide. One woman even started singing the national anthem in confusion. The pastor shouted, "Everybody calm down!" But nobody calmed down. The groom jumped through the window and disappeared for 20 minutes. When he came back, he was carrying his mother's wig, screaming, "Who started this ant revival service?" Out of nowhere, the boda rider Bosco arrived. Greater than, "Who called Dr. Murafu? I carried him from the next village." Dr. Murafu jumped off the bike, holding a calabash and a bottle of Fanta. Greater than, "Clear the way! These ants are not ordinary. They are angry ancestors." Everyone gasped. Mama Titi cried, "Save my daughter! I'll add 2 goats." Dr. Murafu began his ritual. He poured Fanta in a circle and turned on the radio. Lucky Dube's different colors, one people started playing. The ants paused. Then, to everyone's shock, they began to move in rhythm, crawling left and right like dancers. The boda rider shouted, "Look! The ants are moonwalking." The crowd screamed with laughter, half in fear, half in disbelief. Dr. Murefu began dancing too, shouting, "Dance, my ancestors! Dance out of her face!" Titi, half-conscious, muttered, "Can someone at least close my mouth before they enter again?" Elder Manzi Bakari stepped forward, holding his walking stick. This wedding has gone beyond ordinary. In my 82 years, I have seen love, madness, and masquerades, but never this combination, Mama Chica snapped. It's her mother's fault. She raised a girl with a spiritual necklace, Mama Titi clapped back. And you raised a son who faints before ants. Shame! The crowd roared in laughter. One drunk uncle shouted, "If you people don't finish, the ants will collect bride price and leave." Dr. Murfu shouted over the noise, "Quiet! The ancestors are laughing. That's why the ground is shaking." Everyone froze again, and indeed the ground trembled slightly. People started praying, some crying, some confessing sins they hadn't even committed yet. Suddenly Titi fainted. Everyone thought she was dead. They covered her with a white cloth and started planning burial right there. The pastor began praying, "Lord, receive her soul." But the witch doctor interrupted. "Wait!" She's still blinking. The pastor said, "No, that's the spirit shaking." Then, whoosh! Titi sat up and shouted, "Who removed my wrapper?" People screamed and ran. The groom fainted. The ants vanished into thin air. The village went silent for 10 seconds, then burst into laughter. Mama Chica fainted dramatically for the second time that day, while Old Man Bakari said, "This girl cannot die. The ancestors just wanted entertainment." 1 week later, the wedding finally took place, this time without beads, without ants, and without the witch doctor's Fanta. The bride walked down the aisle proudly, while the pastor whispered, "If I see even one insect here, I will resign." The story spread all over. People from other villages came to visit the bride who defeated ants. She became a celebrity and even started selling her new business. Titi's Ant Cream, tested and approved by ancestors. Mama Chica now respects her, saying, "Any girl who survives ants and still marries my son deserves all blessings." When the village elders gathered later, one said, "If you don't understand your necklace, don't wear it." Another replied, "Greater than, if you don't understand your mother-in-law, don't argue with her." And the oldest of all concluded, "Greater than, if you ever see ants dancing to Lucky Dube, just know you're in Akoroko." The crowd burst into laughter that echoed through the hills. As the laughter faded and peace returned to Akoroko, the elders sat under the big mango tree and shared their wisdom. The bride, Titi, smiled humbly, touching her healed neck. The pastor looked at her and said softly, "You see, my daughter, sometimes the things that hurt us carry a lesson we couldn't learn in comfort." The whole village nodded. Proverbs 16:18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Mama Chica's pride almost destroyed her son's wedding, while Titi's humility and forgiveness restored peace. Even after the chaos, she chose laughter instead of anger. And that's how healing began. Then the pastor continued, Romans 8:28. "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God." The ants, the beads, and even the confusion all led to unity. The families that once shouted at each other now shared a meal and laughed together. Before leaving, the pastor added one last piece of advice. Never break what you don't understand, and never fight what you can pray about. Even when life crawls like ants upon your peace, stay calm. God can still turn chaos into comedy.